Good morning, everyone. A warm welcome to you all for joining us this morning for the next in a series of webinars that we've been having over the past couple of weeks. We've been trying to engage the general populace and our key members as well on what's happening currently in the economy and the kinds of things that we need to be doing to better position us so that we all come out as winners at the end of the day. This webinar that we are having will be focusing primarily on what we should be doing with our monies in these current times. It's a follow-up from the last webinar that we had. For those of you who were able to join us, we started talking about what you can be doing in these times and how to invest and who you should be speaking to primarily with a financial advisor. We've got quite a lot more questions that we're seeking for us to give clarity on exactly what you can do as an individual in these times, where you should place your money, who you should be speaking to. So in today's webinar, we'll try and stick to some of these questions and bring clarity to the minds of you guys to help you to determine what exactly you should be doing in these times, particularly with your money, right? And I'm not here alone for today. I'm joined by seasoned people in the industry to help us in this discussion to provide some clarity as to what we can do. So this morning I'm joined by Mr. Isaac Boama. He is the current Chief Investment Officer for IC Asset Management. Please, you're welcome this morning.
Hi, good morning, Solomon, and good morning, Team Petra. Good to join your call.
Great. Good morning, Ike. We are also joined by Mr. Abraham Arthur. He's the category manager at Petra, responsible for loans and mortgages as well, and he'll be bringing in some experience to help us to make sense of what we need to be doing. So, Abraham, you're welcome to today's webinar.
Thank you, Solomon, for your introduction.
All right, great. So before we go into the discussion proper, I'd like to just lay out some housekeeping rules. For those of you who are joining us on the webinar itself, if you have any questions, please kindly, as usual, indicate it in the Q&A section. And as we go along, we will ask those questions and address them as the webinar proceeds. For those who are joining us or via our live stream feed, that is YouTube and then Facebook, you may also indicate your questions in the comment section, and then we'll do well to answer those as well. All right, so that out of the way, we'll get right into the discussion for today. So we all know where we are. We are currently as a country, the kind of economic challenges that we're facing. Inflation has been on the rise, fuel has been on the rise. It's been a challenging time. And we have been made to understand that for the government to help us steer out of this chaotic situation, we need to solicit the help of the IMF to bail us out and help us to sort of get the economy back on its feet. And one of the ways that the government has done that before even get the IMF support is to be able to do some form of debt restructuring. And those are one of the criteria or requirements from the IMF before we can get their help. So the government has undertaken this exercise, and it has had several implications. And we just recently heard that the government has finally brought to a close the program, right? I'm sure for most of us on the webinar this morning, we want to be able to understand how this affects all of us and how it affects my money, exactly, particularly with the money that has been invested. So we'll be looking to address that, but we want to be able to paint a certain picture for all of us to understand, and then it will carry us along as we have this conversation. So the first question I would like to ask, and I hope you will take this one to address this. We want to first of all understand the concept of an investment objective, right? And how it affects the choice of financial securities and instruments that we invest in. So with everything that we do, we know that there is an objective. How does this play out in investment, and how does it affect the kinds of securities or investment options that we put our money in?
All right, Solomon, thank you so much for the call, and thanks for the question as well. I would like to make this conversation a bit more relatable. So forgive me if I sound less technical than you would have expected. Just to make it a bit more relatable, I'm going to use the Accra Kumasi Road stretch, which all of us probably are familiar with that stretch of road. Now, on that stretch of Accra Kumasi, there are villages, there are towns, and there are cities. Some are closer to you, some are a bit far away from you. The same way with financial need or financial goals. Some are short term, some are long term. Now, on the question of what instruments you use, if you're traveling from Accra to, let's say, Amasaman, which is on the same Accra Kumasi Road, that's a short distance. Chances are that you use a smaller vehicle to take that road, to make that journey. If you are climbing the Kwewu Mountains, I'm sure chances are that you use a much more bigger car as well. Why would you do that? It's mainly because of the choice or concept of risk. Climbing the Kwewu mountain probably entails a little bit more risk, so you want to use a much more stronger, robust car. Using the Amasama Road, you probably may use a much more smaller car. The same thing that applies to your financial goals. If you have a short-term need, let's say you need money to be set aside for your fuel for next month, the choice of instruments will be different. If you are looking to build a house in the next 10 years, your choice will also be different. So in terms of financial goals, it's not something that's out of the blue. It's something that we can relate to it. It's not something that we should all be scared of. So the question that usually becomes a bit more sticky is people having the time to define what exactly is my goal next year, what exactly is my goal next 2 years. And so one of the questions we get from the industry is, I have money, can you invest it for me? But the key is defining, are you going to Amasama, are you going to Kwewu, or are you going to Nkoko? Based on your response to these questions, then your financial advisor will be able to say, because you're going to Amasama, maybe this choice of vehicle will work for you. Now, on the financial markets, what are the instruments that you can use to be able to meet your financial goals? They're very simple. If you look at the spectrum, we have risk-free assets, which prior to the debt exchange was government securities. Today, you could say it's treasury bills. After treasury bills, the next level of financial assets is what we call credit assets. These are monies you lend to private entities. This could be corporate bonds or fixed deposits. The next layer is what we call equities. These are listed companies on the Ghana Stock Exchange, like MTN, like EcoBank, so on and so forth. After equities, then you're looking at private assets. These are real estate assets. These are private equity investments. So depending on where you are going, your financial advisor would then be able to say, because you are going to, let's say, in Nkoko, we are going to give you this vehicle. Because you want to maybe go on a honeymoon in the next 2 years when you get married, we are going to give you this vehicle. So the key really is defining your investment goal. Typically for life, we have probably maybe some people want to set money aside for their child's education, for their retirement. Some want to buy their first house. Some want to go back to school in the next 5 years. These are the usual investment goals that people tend to have throughout their life cycle. I just hope I'll be able to respond to your question. Thank you.
Great, Mike. That will do. But if you could just throw some color on, so depending on, so you mentioned your long-term, if you have long-term goals or objectives versus short-term goals and objectives, and just to make it a little bit more relatable, supposing I'm an investor and I have some short-term, what does the short-term typically look like for in the investment market? Is it 1 year? Is it 2 years? Is it 6 months? And what does the long-term also typically look like? And then on top of that, what kind of investment securities are best suited for the short term and then the long term?
So typically from the investing point of view, short term probably be 12 months and below. So anything within the next 12 months is called short term. What are the instruments available for you at this moment? Touchwood, you could say treasury bills. You could also say maybe an open-ended fund, like one of the Petra schemes that you can easily move in and out. It's a short term because liquidity is key. So those will be short term. You are investing in assets that are relatively risk-free, quote unquote, and that you have easy access to the money. So in this short-term instance, you are looking for quick in and exit and entry and exit. So treasury bills, fixed deposits, an open-ended fund like the ones that are run on Petra's platform. These are platforms that you can easily push and pull your money out as and when you need your cash. So that's for short term. For long term, again, it depends on what you call long term, but typically you're looking above 1 year. So let's say Abraham want to go back to school, maybe do his PhD or master's in the next 3 years. For Abraham, that's his long term. So he has 36 months to plan for those expenditure. In that instance, Abraham may be able to say, okay, 3 years, maybe I may buy, let's say, an MTN that may give me a dividend yield of this, and that could help me get it. So in the longer term, Abraham is able to take a bit more risk. So maybe he will lend money to a private company in the form of fixed deposit to the banks or buy a corporate bond, or he will buy equities. Those are the options for Abraham. Because it's long term, he has the opportunity to recover, assuming there's a bit more risk on the road. So for Abraham, he takes a bit more risk because he has 5 years to go back to school, and so he can take the risk. But when you have 12 months, let's say your child's school fees for next year, you can't afford to take too much risk. In that instance, then you look at your treasury bills or your bank deposit. That's what Petra's account has for. Instruments that's available.
Yes. Hello, Ike.
Hello.
We seem to be losing you a bit on the last bit of the thing you said. If you can repeat it.
Hello?
Yes. Hello, Ike.
Hello?
Can you hear
me? Yes. Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Your line was breaking a bit, so we couldn't make out what you were saying earlier. But just to give you some time for you to just recover, I'll turn my attention to Abraham. So Abraham, as Ike has been speaking, he's been making mention of the long-term goals and short-term goals. Typically, and I think he mentioned that if you have a goal that is less than, but you want to realize in less than, let's say, 12 months or below, that's typically what we refer to as short-term goals. And the ones that you want to realize somewhere beyond maybe a year or two, that's typically long-term goals, right? We've heard in the market and that this domestic debt exchange is affecting all of us and it's affecting our investments, right? So with this background in mind, that is the objective that I'm investing for is either short-term or long-term. What should be my response in the face of this debt exchange program? So what is the questions that people are asking is, should I come for my money right now and keep it somewhere and wait for this whole debt exchange to happen before I bring money back? What should be my is to be affected by haircut and all of those things. So what would be your advice to people who are faced with this kind of challenges?
Okay, Solomon, thank you for your question. The debt exchange thing is a new phase that the whole country is going through, and the fear is all around. People are afraid, am I going to lose my money? Is the haircut going to affect me? The government have come out clearly on this conversation that pension funds will not be affected by the haircut, but I just don't want us to limit the conversation solely to pension funds. you reacting to the market will not be a prudent thing for you to do as at now. The question you have to ask yourself is, why am I redeeming my money if I'm going to redeem or disinvest my investment of any form? The reason for the disinvestment, is it that I'm going to disinvest the money and then just keep the cash at home to wait for my 3 years, my 1 year before I have need for the cash? Or I'm disinvesting to put it into a different area, which is different from my original dream. If your step is to redeem the funds and then just keep the money at home, currently, as you are speaking, inflation in the country is over 54%. So what are you doing to yourself? You are losing out. Okay, redeeming your money and then putting it into another project will also mean that the purpose for which you set the funds aside, you will not really attain that goal. And in that regard, what will happen is that, you set a goal for yourself and then, you end up doing other things. So on this call, what I would just encourage is that don't react to the market. Usually the financial market is such that it goes up, it comes down. And when it goes up, we all see the returns going, and when it is coming down, you are seeing the dip. That is when you see people coming rushing for their cash, calling Petra that I want to redeem my money. So I'll just encourage that. Let's relax. Let's let the debt exchange thing take place, hoping that IMF will bring a lot of discipline on the financial markets, because taking the facility will mean that they have to abide by some IMF rules and regulations they've set, which will reduce government expenditure in certain areas, and confidence in the financial market is likely to bounce back. That is, we are hoping that the confidence will bounce back and we'll be seeing the market performing very well. So let us not react with the market that because I'm seeing dip in my returns, because my funds are not growing as expected, I'm going to redeem the money and then let's say place it in my bank account. At least if I wake up every morning, I know that I have my money in my bank account. What will happen is that the value of your money will not be the same in the near future. Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, AB. AB, I'm sorry. So, thank you. You're back now. I hope you can hear me. I want to spin this a little bit in your direction. AB has been talking about keeping your funds still invested, and I wanted you to touch a little bit on what it means for people who are investing to just disinvest. Investment in the long. If you could touch a little bit about the time value of money and how the implications of how it affects investment and what you stand to lose if you should just simply disinvest, especially when, for instance, it is your action of disinvesting goes against the goal that you have set. So maybe you have set a long-term goal, and then because of what's happening in the market, you are panicking and you quickly come and withdraw your money. What happens? So if you can just touch a little bit on the time value of money and how that affects the actions like disinvesting too early affects you, the investor.
I don't know if Ike is having difficulty, so kindly allow me to touch on this whilst we wait for Ike to, join. For time value of money, all that you are referring to is the cash that you hold now is worth more than the value of that same cash in the near future. What we mean is that the money that you have in your pockets now, the money that you have seated in your bank account that you are not investing, that you are not keeping it running, you are losing out on that cash, because in the near future, that cash worth more than what you are holding now. So on the screen, you could see that, I don't know if my screen is visible. You could see that I've projected something on time value of money on the screen. There's someone who is holding 10,000 Ghana cedis and decided to invest the money for 5 years period. So you could see that the 10,000 is the same cash he's holding, but in 5 years' time, the 10,000 will grow up to 25,000 Ghana cedis. That's time value of money. the time, the 5 years duration that the money is working for him, that is assuming an interest rate of 21% in an asset class, in an investment vehicle. In 5 years' time, the 10,000 will not remain 10,000, but the 10,000 will remain 25,937 Ghana cedis. Okay. In the same way, someone who is also trying to build up a fund over a period, over a time, let's say 15 years time, the person is building up funds. And in this instance, you're looking at someone who is a low earner who can, let's say, part away with 900 Ghana cedis. We are not even looking at 1,000 Ghana cedis. Someone who can part away with 900 Ghana cedis month on month for a longer period, considering, let's say, 15 years, 10 years. So the graph you see on the screen explains it all. For the first year, the person will contribute the 900 Ghana cedis for 12 months, will give the person 10,800 Ghana cedis. The interest will accrue Sure. So I think I'm on now. So in the same light, if the person should contribute over a period of 15 years, okay, over a period of 15 years, you see that the total contribution the person will contribute from his pocket will be a little over 160,000 Ghana cedis. But the returns alone on that investment he's doing will be 859,000. So in actual sense, the cash the person would have held in his hand if he have not placed it in an investment vehicle will be 162,000 Ghana cedis. Okay, but because he placed it in an investment vehicle, the returns alone is giving him over 800,000. Combining both would mean that the person would have over 1 million. So looking at time value of money, in real sense, the person would have only about 162,000 Ghana cedis. But adding the interest component to his contribution will mean that he would have contributed, he would hold 1 million Ghana cedis. So the time that he placed the money in an asset class, in an investment vehicle, have generated much return for him than should he have hold the cash itself. I believe the explanation helps, Solomon.
Yes, maybe. So if I'm just to break it down a bit, if I get you, so you mean typically if I'm an investor and I have, for let's say, a goal to invest for maybe a car that I intend to buy in 3 years' time. Maybe based on what's happening in the market, I panic and I say, oh, I want to come and take my money and hold on to it or put it in my bank account or something and wait for everything to blow over before I bring it back. What you're saying is that once I am holding on to that money outside of my investment, I'll be losing out on possible returns or gains I could have been making, no matter how small it may seem. And then also there's the factor of inflation as well, eating away at the money that I have. And so it is very likely that because I've been disinvested, I may not be able to realize the goal of buying that car that I intended to buy. Does that sort of summarize what you said?
Yes, please. And to add to it, we have to, I think I could be an expert in that field and he will add to it. You have to understand the markets we are operating in. Like the example I cited, you have to understand the road you are traveling on, which will help you make some informed decision. If you understand the markets and you know how the market operates, you know that if there is a dip in my returns, if the investment vehicle is not returning as it should, that is the time I should rather place much funds into my investment vehicle, because at that time, the unit prices are very low. And when unit prices are very low and I place in my fund, that is when I get more unit. And when the market stabilizes and I trade my unit, I'll be able to realize more cash. Okay, so if we quickly react to the market based on the fact that I was expecting 21%, 30% returns month on month, and I'm not getting it, then let me go and redeem my money and keep my cash. It will not be a prudent decision for you to take as at this time. Thank you, Solomon.
Thank you, Ibi. Ike, good to have you back. Please, could you weigh in on this and give us some understanding of what the reaction should actually be in terms of course, the time value of money. So the question we're asking ourselves is, looking at all that is happening, I wanted to invest for, say, to buy a car in 3 years. The markets are not looking good. Anytime I check my balance, I see it dropping. Should I come for my money or I should leave it invested? And what is the reason for which I should leave it invested?
Okay. Thanks, and sorry for my poor connection this morning. So on the issue of time value of money, 10 years ago, a bag of cement was 12 cedis. Today, it's 90 cedis. 10 years ago, we had a crisis, which was the energy crisis. Now, if you had decided to put your 12 cedis under your pillow, you'll still have 12 cedis today, but it will not buy you that bag of cement. Even if you had invested that 12 cedis at a rate of 20%, you probably will be closer to buying the same bag of cement today. So that for me is a classic reason why you cannot afford to keep your money under the pillow. Just to dovetail into what's it called, the compounding effect of returns. For Ghanaians, again, I want to use something that's more relatable. 100 years ago, a man came from Fernando Po, brought cocoa seed, planted that cocoa seed. 100 years on, that seed has become the backbone of the Ghanaian economy. Between the time he planted that cocoa seed and now, we've had oil, we've had gold, but still cocoa remains the backbone of the economy. Just one seed. That's the power of compounding. By planting that seed germinated, became a tree, had its own fruit. Then another seed came out of that tree, then was planted. Now, it's not been smooth sailing, again, using the cocoa example. Every now and then, there are cocoa diseases that wipe out some of the cocoa trees. But our cocoa farmers did not stop planting their cocoa trees. And that has become the backbone of the Ghanaian economy. The same goes to those of us investing. Now, granted, we are in very, very tough times. But at least, like somebody will say, we have the head for a hair to be on it, for there to be a haircut. Imagine if you didn't even have the head at all in these trying times. I mean, it will be a body cut. So to say I'm not going to invest will even be much more worse than now. At least you had a body and a head, and there was a haircut, and there was a hair, and there was a cut. If you didn't have the head, you would have cut your body. So staying invested helps you than say, I'm going to put my money under the pillow. Your 12 cedis, if it's under the pillow, would have been 12 cedis today, and it's won't buy a half bag of cement. So that for me is the most basic way of saying, look, because of the power of compounding, don't let your money lie under the pillow. Most important is you get closer to a trusted financial advisor to know what destination you want to travel, the direction of travel, and know what vehicle you are using in terms of your financial instrument. That could be significant, could be a significant difference between you and your friend. Thank you.
Thank you, Ike. So I'd like to ask a question. That's one of our listeners is asking. I think this is Ralph, and he's asking that should I continue to contribute to mutual funds in these difficult times? Will I benefit more if I leave my funds in the mutual fund until we are out of this situation? So I want to modify it a bit, and maybe I can help us out with this one. So we've talked about staying invested, right? But I'm sure most people may be thinking, maybe I had a lump sum of, let's say, 20K, and I went to do some investment. And so staying invested would mean to me that I shouldn't come and remove that 20K. Okay. But then there are other people as well who are on a monthly basis, or even a quarterly basis, or some periodic basis are making contributions into their fund. The question that I think is closely tied to what Ralph is asking is that, should I continue contributing to these funds that I am in the light of all of these things? Am I better off stopping the contribution and waiting it out before sort of coming back to it, or I should keep on contributing month on month as I have been doing? What would be your advice or your response to this question?
So the question is to me or Abraham?
No, I just feel maybe Abraham can add on when you're done.
I thought Abraham would go since he's the father of Isaac. So
this time around, the
But,
father is allowing the son to go first. Then I'll add my blessing.
yeah. So Raf, thanks for the question. This is a packed question. Look, I wouldn't want to beat around the bush. Collective investment schemes, every financial house, bar pension funds, are in a bit of a difficult spot. Essentially, a lot more of us invested in government securities that is caught in this crossfire that we are all calling debt exchange program. Thankfully, there seems to be some level of success rates for the participation, whether it's 65 or 85. There seems to be some light at the end of the tunnel. There's supposed to be a financial stability or liquidity fund that could provide liquidity to collective investment schemes, because the biggest challenge collective investment schemes have is liquidity. And hopefully, once we are done with the debt session, they could then be able to honor their withdrawal requests that you put in. That said, I think that your destination will be very important. What is the purpose for this investment? If the purpose is that the next week you need the money back, then I have to be honest with you, that may not be the smartest thing to do. But if the purpose is that next year or next 2 years, I need the money back, then that may be a good choice for you, given the headwinds you are seeing currently. So you have to be speak to an advisor and then discover what is the direction of travel for you to know. Because if you need the money next week, then I wouldn't say it's the smartest place. But if you then need the money a year or so, hopefully by that time things would have evolved and things would have normalized, and you can easily move in and out of the collective investment. So that would be my brief touch on it. The takeaway is that just speak to an advisor closer to you to determine where exactly you want to go, and then he can be able to say, okay, maybe we need to use a key applicant or we need to use a VA to go to where we want to go. Yeah, thank you, Solomon.
Okay. So thank you for that. So essentially, it has to do with the investment objective. How long you are investing for and for what purpose you are investing should be the guiding light as to whether you redeem your money, keep contributing to these kinds of schemes. That's interesting. So this question I would like to ask. So for people, and maybe you can throw a little bit light on this. For people who are have the intention to, let's say, buy land, right, or go do some home completion, that they are trying to build a house, because we all know that land is a fixed asset that appreciates over time, right? Even houses as well. So if I'm seeing there's a lot of sort of volatility in the market where I'm losing out on my funds, is it a good time for me to take at least the little that I have accumulated over the period and say go and buy some land or go secure some mortgage somewhere? What would be your advice to people like this who have this intent?
Okay, sure. So for someone who is investing now and let's say is putting up a building project, I will encourage that. I mean, you redeem and then place the funds into the building project. As I rightly said, the prices of building materials and those stuff are skyrocketing. But instances whereby you know that the funds you have, even if you redeem, will not take you anywhere close to the project you want to do, I will encourage that you contact us at Petra. We have nice product available that you can take advantage of. We have the pension-backed mortgage product available, which instead of maybe redeeming your money and then starting the project and you not completing the project, you being locked halfway and you don't know what you are doing, why don't you then lend the cash you have in your tier 3 or in your savings booster investment, let's say in your personal investment, lending the funds and then accessing a mortgage facility. Some will say that the mortgage will come with an interest rate, or I've heard people tell me that AB mortgages in Ghana are dollarized, and the moment the dollar increases, which means obviously I'll be paying more for the mortgage that I have taken. That's what we have done for you at Petra. We have engaged the banks and we are giving us cedi denominated mortgages. So this is how it works, if time will permit me for me to explain a little bit. If you have, let's say, 10,000 with Petra Trust now, either in your tier 3 or your savings booster, what you are saying that you qualify for a mortgage facility worth 100,000 cedis. The 100,000 will help you complete your project than the 10,000. Okay, and the beauty of it is that you still have your 10,000 invested for you. You access the mortgage facility either to complete your project or to buy a land, or if you have some good sum of money to buy a complete facility. The banks are willing to do 100% payment of that facility, which would then mean that you'll not be renting and building, or you'll not be renting and going to purchase a home, but this time around you've lent your tier 3 as a collateral and then you have accessed the mortgage facility. The beauty of it is that the banks have beat down the rate because you are using your tier 3 as a collateral, which if you get in touch with us, or if I'm permitted to share it on the call, I can go deeper into it. But I will advise that if you are doing a building project, if it's a building project you are redeeming the funds for, I will encourage you, because the cost of iron rods last year by this time was around 3,500. Around this time around, it's around 9,000, getting to 10,000 cedis. So if for a building project, I will encourage you that you can take your funds, put it into a building project. But situation or instances whereby the funds are not enough to complete the project for you, then why don't you leave your money in the tier 3 scheme, in your savings booster account, take the pension-backed mortgage, complete the project, move into it. Then you know that I have my tier 3 lend, and then I'll be doing the payout month on month. So that will be my take on that.
Okay, thank you, Abraham, for that. And this question will be addressed to you. Somebody's asking, the very anonymous though, is asking, do you advise that we invest outside of Ghana, looking at the fact that the GOGs are considered today? Are there investment options that are invest outside of Ghana?
Yeah. So thanks for the question. Yes.
If you can help us with that.
Diverse. Yeah. So can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear. You can go ahead.
Great, thank you. So yes, if you have the opportunity, diversify a bit externally, but in Ghana, I think there are a few funds, again, speak to Petra about it. There are a few funds that allows you exposure to outside world, but let me put it on record that nowhere cool, just as you say in our local parlance. So in a bid to diversify, let's be careful we don't create tomorrow's problem, because that tends to always be the case where in our bid, okay, there's a debt exchange in Ghana, we park our money. I see there's some green, there's a better alternative that is so superior. You need to be very careful about it so that you don't also burn your fingers. But yes, you can invest externally. However, the external option, sometimes the ticket size can be a bit steep. For instance, if you are buying another government security, which is in dollars, you probably will need to have maybe $200,000 as your minimum, more $100,000. So, but then there are pools of funds that allows you to buy maybe a fraction of that. So speak to Petra, I'm sure They will link you up to where you can find the most suitable product for you. However, like I said, let's not pack all our cash and take it outside to go and develop another person's country. Yes, by all means, let's diversify, but some of the cash has to stay here to build the next Petres, the next so let's not actually migrate our cash out of the country because of what is going through. This too shall pass, as we always say. So yes, let's find a product out there. Petra will obviously, I cannot advertise a product on this call, but speak to Petra, they will assist you on that. But let's not be in a hurry to just pack our cash out of this country, because at the end of the day, this country belongs to all of us.
All right, a quick follow-up, Ike, on this. So Charles is asking, is it safe to even buy treasury bills now? Bearing in mind the uncertainty and constant changes in the financing sheet or share, is it even safe to buy treasury bills now?
I can tell this question to my father.
Oh God. Okay, let me attempt, then my son will follow up. As it has been communicated and we are all aware, treasuries are also not going to be affected with the domestic debt exchange. So there's some sort of security in that light. But the fear of trading in treasury is what happened recently when the cocoa bonds matured and the government came back to say that they can make payment and they have to roll over. Since they all sit in government instrument, the government that control risk. As it stands now, if you buy treasury, they are honoring it. When it is 3 months treasury or 9 months treasury, they are honoring it. But we don't know what tomorrow holds in this conversation. Will it be a cocoa bond sort of a conversation at the end of the period whereby your treasuries will mature and then government will say that I don't have cash to honor it. So I will encourage that if you have cash right now and you've not bought a set of treasury, kindly hold on. Let's see how the debt exchange thing will go. Hopefully by the end of February, March, everything will settle. Then you can take an informed decision. But for me to say point blank on this call that treasury is safe, go buy treasury, I won't confirm to that because of what happens to the cocoa bonds. So I don't know, maybe my son can now tap his father's back with a little info on that.
As they say, open your casa. To wait once the elder has spoken. I have nothing to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Abraham. Thank you, Ike. It's quite interesting. But Ike, maybe you can help us with this one. So Prince is asking, what instruments and options are available to those who invest or do like regular monthly contributions, right? And so let's say I don't have a lump sum of 20K or 100K to go buy a bond or to even go buy, let's say, a treasury bill or something of the sort, but I can do like 200 cedis every month. I can do 500 cedis every month. I believe in the culture of savings and investments. What are the options available to me that I can be putting my money into?
So, if you can hear me clearly, one of the learnings from this debt exchange is that there is safety in numbers. And the pension industry has shown that quite clearly. Despite all the difficulties, at least for now, they've been ring-fenced from the debt exchange. Even if they will eventually join the debt exchange, it will be on a special arrangement. Now, given that being said, I think that if you have the 200 cedis that you want to contribute monthly, consider some of the voluntary schemes that the likes of Petra manages. Why? Because they'll pull your 200 from Kwesi, they'll pull your 200 from Mansa, they'll pull your 200 from Ajwa. They put it together, it becomes a bigger pool. What would they do? They will then invest your money across all the different asset classes to diversify your risk. So, but with your 200, you cannot break it into smaller pieces to do that. So, I would say look at some of these voluntary tier 3 schemes, and if possible, put your money in there, at least for now, as long as you can move in and out. That should be probably a smarter way to park your cash at this moment.
Okay, thank you, Ike. So, and maybe Ike, you can weigh in on this, but maybe this is more directed to you. If you have a particular need, let's say you are, so I'm trying to paint this scenario. I have invested for a long-term purpose, but there arises a short-term need that I must meet. Maybe there's some emergency that I must take care of. And I need cash, obviously. Do I break my investment, do it because of storage my money, I need it? Should I take the money out, go and sort myself out, or there's some other option available to me? Because if I'm listening to all that we've been saying, the advice is that it is not prudent for us to break these investments because of the time value of money and the kinds of returns that you can possibly lose out on if you should come for the money for such a purpose. So what is the alternative for such a person?
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you for it. Breaking your investment and then sorting yourself out. What I've observed over the period is that if someone breaks his investment to sort himself out, the likelihood that he will bring the money back is almost like zero. Okay, the person will not. Even if he raised the funds, he will channel it into other things, because as we are all of us on this call, always there is need for money to sort one thing or the other. But instead of you breaking your investment, I will encourage that if there are some soft loans available which you can take advantage of, maybe in your office, you can pledge your tier 3 as a collateral for a soft loan, which maybe the interest might be very small, that you can repay it easily. I will encourage that, because in that instance, what happens is that your money that is in the investment vehicle that is generating returns for you will continually generate the returns for you. You still have your dream. At the end of the tunnel, you could still see that, oh, in 5 years' time, in 10 years' time, I will hit this point. But for you to break your investment and try and bring the money back, it will distort your plan. In that same light, if I'm also permitted, there are options for you to use your tier 3 contribution as a collateral to secure a loan. Okay, there are some financial institutions, if you go in and you need a facility, they will ask you whether you have a tier 3. So instances where you are not laying hand on any of such facilities available, and you can visit our premises at Petra Trust. We can have a nice conversation, give you the options we have on the table, some of the financial houses that are willing to give you a pension-backed loan at a competitive rate. In that light, you get the money to sort yourself out for the short-term issues you are trying to address, whereas your investments keeps growing for you. And in that way, you'll be able to keep your investment intact. You keep your contributions intact. You'll be getting the returns expected on your contribution. And then you get the money also to sort yourself. But instances whereby, trying all these avenues, you are not able to raise any funds, and maybe what you propose to at Petra might not be, what you are looking out for. I don't think there'll be anything wrong breaking into your investment to sort yourself out. But I will encourage that you look at all these options available first. Talk to friends, talk to family members, talk to your employer. If there are soft facilities you can access, talk to Petra Trust. Let's have a conversation around the pension-backed loan. If it is something that will address your immediate need, you go in for it, whereas you allow your investment to rest and work for you. Thank you, Sulu.
All right, thank you, AB. Would you like to weigh in on this, or we should move to the next question?
Okay, so Abraham, thanks. The truth of the matter is that at least in the next 4 or the next 3 to 5 years, Ghana and to that extent, all of us are going to go through a bit of economic difficulty. Now, at this time, I think all of us will need to recalibrate in terms of our expenditure, because we tend to bring into our investments when our expenditure outruns our revenue. And given the tough times that we are going through, look, even global firms are what they call right sizing. Basically, they are reducing the number of staff they have. So everybody is beginning to cut back on their expenditure. So you may really want to look at your expenditure once again to see where you can cut. Some you may not be able to do anything about it, but quite clearly, given where Ghana is heading towards in terms of recovery, the recovery will be very, very painful. Let's be honest with each other. And we could have more headwinds, but you need to keep calm. However, let's take a look at our expenditure again. It may mean reducing some of our expenditure so that our revenue at least matches our expenditure. In that case, the need to break into the investment that's for the future will not arise often, even if it does once in a while. But if your expenditure, if you live as though we are still in normal times, then I can promise you in the next 60 or 80 days, you call Abraham that I need to break into my investment. So please take a look at your expenditure again. And if possible, if you can multiply your revenue stream, good luck to you. But quite clearly, you need to look at our revenue and expenditure dynamics, because we are not in normal times, and it will take us quite a while to get back to normal times. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Ike. So essentially what we're saying is that we shouldn't take hasty decisions in the current situation that we find ourselves. It's better if we are not sure about what to do, it's better to speak to somebody who knows what's going on and can better advise. So on that note, I'll just like to bring everybody's attention to a link that has been shared in the chat. It's a survey link that allows you to also put in your details if you want to speak to a financial advisor. That will help you to navigate these turbulent times. We are acutely aware that not all the solutions that we prefer on the webinar will be able to attend to your individual needs. And so that's the reason why you need to speak to a financial advisor, because everybody's situation and circumstance is different. And so when you speak to somebody, they may fully understand your situation and better propose the next line of action for you to take. So please take a few minutes and kindly fill out the survey form for us. And then we will attend to you if the need to speak to a financial advisor arises. All right, so there's a question that, and we'll be wrapping up soon, so I'll take a couple of more questions and then we wrap up. Somebody is saying, okay, you didn't share your name, but I'm saying, thank you, Petra, for this meeting. My question is, due to the current economic instability and haircut on investment, I quickly redeemed my money from an investment bank, even though some percentage of my principal amount was taken because of the mark-to-market ratio. I transfer the money to a savings account, and I want to know if it's a good choice I made. So maybe you can you can both weigh in on this briefly. But I have a follow-up question on this, but I just want us to address this person's question, and then we can take the follow-up question. So who would like to go first? Maybe AB, you want to
go
first? Son will go first.
Okay, so my response is very simple. My question is a question back to the sender. Are you happy with the decision you took? If yes, you're happy with the decision you took, then it was a smart decision. That will be all. Thank you.
Just to add to it, these are some of the things that happen when we add to the market, because somewhere November, December, we have people, coming to our office doing all this redemption, and they crystallize the losses. Okay, the moment you crystallize the loss, there is very little you could, that is, you really see the loss. By allowing the market to correct itself, as we are all preaching, what would mean that? So those who left their funds and they did not come for it in November, December, now the market corrects itself to a point and they have gained. That is, if they've not recovered all, So assuming the person did not react to the market and allow things to stabilize for a while, he wouldn't be asking us this question this morning, because he would have seen that the gains, the money he lost on paper have appeared. The mistake usually we do is that if investments are not performing, we are quick to redeem our funds. But hey, when asset classes are not performing, those who are investment minded will tell you that that is the best time for you to push in cash. Because if you push in cash, like the unitized scheme we are all talking about, you tend to gain more units when the asset classes are not performing. Okay, the best time for you to redeem from investment is when the asset classes are performing. When it is performing at the 28th, at the 30th, and you're redeeming, I mean, you are cool because the unit prices are high as at that time. But the times when the unit prices are the 6 CDs, 5 CDs, or it is returning at 12%, 10%, 5%, what it means is very simple. Unit prices on the market are low. So if you should put in 1,000 Ghana cedis, you get more units. When they start performing on, when the market normalizes and everything is stable, you tend to have more units to multiply it by the unit price and you get your money. Okay, so the best time for you to be redeeming funds from investment is when it is high and not when it is low. When it is low, you crystallize the losses, you see your losses, you really feel the losses you've lost on your principal. But when it is high and you are redeeming with the interest that it have accrued over the period. That is to add to it, Solomon.
All right. Thank you very much, guys. So I would like to just add a little bit to all that has been said. You know, unfortunately, it's not everybody, and that's even the reason for this webinar in the first place. It's not everybody that has the investment expertise to manage their funds. And so for most of us who do not have that kind of expertise, we rely on people like Isaac and institutions like Petra who have that knowledge, maybe have taken time to go to school, to be trained, and have built that expertise and experience over time to make those decisions for us. And the truth of the matter is that a lot of the time when the economy or the financial market is in a downward spiral, it affects all the players on the market. But the thing is that the advantage that maybe Ike may have over me is that Ike has the knowledge and the experience to know exactly what to do to turn things around for the people that have placed their funds with him. So you, the individual who does not have that expertise, reacting to what is happening in the market, you may react in a way that in the long run will affect you in a bad light. And so particularly for this person, you didn't send me, but particularly for the person who's asking this question, you didn't indicate, and I just want to assume, you didn't indicate that you had a purpose for the money at the time that you made the redemption. The redemption was only made because you were seeing certain losses on your money. And so redeeming and breaking that investment, as AB said, you crystallize those losses, but those losses would have been avoided if perhaps you left it in there and allowed for the market to recover. Then probably you could have even made more than you had at the time. So again, I just want to reiterate this. Let's not be too hasty in taking decisions that may affect us. In the short term, it may look like that's the best way to go, but oftentimes in the long term, we tend to lose out. So before you make such a decision, speak to somebody, and speak not to your friend who also may not be expert. Call an expert and speak to an expert to give you the needed advice. But so on the question that I wanted to ask, just to throw some light on this, it seems to me from the engagement that we've been having that people seem to associate the debt exchange that we are currently undertaking with what is playing out in the financial markets today. So people are realizing that their returns are dropping, and then like SEC came out to instruct fund managers that everybody should mark to market on the collective investment schemes and other things, right? But well before this was happening, this happened well before even the debt exchange program is being implemented. We were just told recently that the debt exchange program had now been closed, and that it had been subscribed over 80%. So we now can begin to say that the debt exchange program will now be enforced or be executed, right? So, can you help us distinguish between the two? Is the debt exchange program already in force, and that's why we are seeing our returns dropping, or our returns dropping is a totally different thing from the debt exchange? And now that the debt exchange has come, what is it going to look like?
So thank you for the question. So you're right. Somewhere, I think probably in August or September, the Securities and Exchange Commission instructed fund managers to mark to market their financial securities. Again, I want to distill it to the basic for everybody to understand. I guess all of us can admit that during the past 12 months or more, our economy has not been doing well. And the general economy is the mother of the house. As case where your mother is not feeling well and you're not lucky to have a nanny in the house, eating food becomes a struggle because the mommy, who probably is the one who cooks, is not in a good health position to furnish the food. The same way with an economy. If an economy is in difficult spots, everything struggles, including your financial assets. However, before this instruction came in, what was happening was that fund managers were were basically valuing your financial instruments with accounting methods. So I bought a thing at 100. It stays at 100 because in 1 year's time, they'll pay me 100. However, between now and 1 year's time, the value of that 100 keeps going up and down. And so what you have is that the valuation goes down. Let's say tomorrow, that 100 becomes 90 because maybe CD has depreciated. But fund managers were booking the 100 throughout because at the end of the 1 year, they'll get the 100 CDs back. But given where the economy was going, the regulator said, no, hang on, because people want to withdraw their money, they need to exit at the current price of the security. So if the 100 today is worth 90, you have to give him 90. They did this to protect all of us, especially those who were staying in the fund, because it would be sad for Solomon to leave the fund at 100 when market says that it's 70. What that means is that Abraham, who stays in the fund, is paying for Solomon. And so, in essence, we were penalizing those who were staying in the fund. But like Solomon and Abraham have said, market goes up and down. Today, MTN probably is what, 88 pesos. At the IPO initial price offer, it was 75. Today it's 80. Tomorrow it could be 65. It goes up and down based on economic news. That's how market works. So I think one of the biggest dividend from this debt exchange is that eventually all of us will have to become used to the fact that returns are not supposed to go straight. You do that for projections, but returns don't go, it's not smooth. Life in itself is not smooth. We all can admit there are ups and downs. It's the same way with your investment return. If your investment return is every day smooth, you need to go and ask your fund manager or your advisor what exactly he's doing, because it's not normal. That's the truth. Investment goes up and down. Economy goes up and down. Even you as a human being, there are days you are not happy. There are days you are excited. It's the same way with your investment portfolio. So if you're holding your investment fund and every time the return is just going up, you need to ask yourself, what are they cooking? Because sometimes when it's too good to be true, it's too good to be true. Thank you.
Thank you, Ike. I think that was very pertinent to the discussion. If it's too good to be true, it's very likely that it's too good to be true. India, I'd like to ask you this question. I think I'm seeing a lot of questions in the Q&A about the mortgage product that you mentioned. So if you could just take a few minutes and elaborate a little bit more on that. People want to know what it entails and how they could take advantage of it. So maybe if you can kindly do that for us.
Okay, sure, Solomon. So the mortgage product I mentioned in the course of my submission is a pension-backed product that Petra we've introduced. I mean, we have it. It has been with us for some time, and it's very simple. You need not to do any down payment to access the mortgage. Usually on the market, if you are going for a mortgage, you either do a 10% or a 20% down payment before, you even start your paperwork, your processing fee and all those stuff would then come in. But for the pension-backed mortgage, the basis for it will be that how much you have in your tier 3 or in your individual investment, individual tier 3 account, that's the savings booster, which also invest in the tier 3 pool of funds. So having 10% of it will then means that you qualify for 10 times what you have. Okay, that's the 10%. So if I have 100,000, what it means is that I qualify for a facility worth 1 million. Let's understand on this call that it is not Petra that is giving the facility, but we've partnered with some financial institutions that are typically tier 1 banks to help us, roll out this product. So the banks have been more considerate in this light, some giving it out at lower than the reference rate on the market. Every loan that you take on the market now is above the reference rate because that's the rate they are borrowing from the government. So if a financial institution will say that for a 10-year duration, for 15 years duration or 20 years, I'm going to give it to you at a reference rate minus, then which means it's a product you can easily hook on to. Again, you don't need to do any down payment. You don't need to do any processing fee. What matters is your repayment. The repayment, the mortgage you are coming in for shouldn't be more than 50% of your take home. One thing I would like to cautionitize ourselves here on this call is that if you are working and you are renting, trying to put up a 6-bedroom house will not be prudent. Trying to put up an 8-bedroom, a story building, for the maximum you should go should be a 3-bedroom house. Someone will say that, hey, you don't know my children. We are 4, we are 5. See, the children you see now, very soon they'll be telling you bye-bye. They'll be leaving your house, and the 6-bedroom house will be there with no one occupying it. So there is a difference between your primary home and then your dream home. Let's endeavor take a mortgage for a primary home. Putting up a 2-bedroom should not cost you more than 600,000 Ghana cedis. What it means is that if you have 60 Ghana cedis in your tier, 60,000 Ghana cedis in your tier 3, you can take 600,000 mortgage facility and you'll be good to go. You can put up a 3-bedroom. If you've started a project already and it's a 3-bedroom, and if you've not started, I'll just encourage you that the maximum you should go now, if it's your primary resident, should be a 3-bedroom. Which in that light, in the cost of 5 years, 10 years, you should be able to finish that project, then you say bye-bye to rent. But instances whereby you pick up a 6-bedroom, 8-bedroom, a story, it will be very difficult for you to complete. So look at the mortgage you're looking at. Let's have a conversation. How much do you have in your tier 3? How much do you have in your savings booster? This time around, sorry to say that it is limited to only Petra customers. Okay, so if you're not a Petra customer, you just have to come over for us to have a conversation. How much do you have in your tier 3? How much is your monthly salary to enable you to do the month-on-month repayment? If your salary is 2,000 Ghana cedis, and then I think you have to look at purchasing a land because the repayment will be 1,000, the maximum 1,000 monthly. If you're in the salary bracket like Solo coordinating this conversation above 7,000, that just by the way, what it means is that you can then look for a mortgage for 10 years, which month to month you'll be doing a payment of about, let's say 2,000, 2,500. You move into your home, you say bye-bye to rent, and then life becomes easier. Then you can think of building your dream home. That is the 6 and then the 10-bedroom. But for your primary residence, limit it to 3-bedroom, which you can do in the next few years, and your mortgage will be able to cover for it. I don't know, but if you have any further conversation, you want us to engage you further on the mortgage conversation, kindly visit our office. Kindly put your details in the link that have been shared below, and then let's get in touch and then take advantage of these great products on the market. You'll be surprised the rates the banks are giving for such a facility. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Abi. So as Abi mentioned, the link to show interest in the mortgage product has been shared in the chat section as well. So if you want to partake of it, you can just quickly click on that link and we'll take it on from there. So there's another person asking, if I do not have a tier 3 but tier 2, how do I solicit a mortgage fund to complete my building? So I think as Baby mentioned, it's only targeting tier 3 holders. I must add that there is at Spectra, we are forward looking, and so we are looking into how we can do that with the tier 2 in the future. But for now, the product that is available, and AB Corporate along, is for just tier 3 holders. People who have funds in tier 3 and then saving stuff. Is that right?
Yes, please. So as it stands now, the regulator have not given clear guidelines as to how we will implement tier 2 in this conversation, but as Solo mentioned, we are engaging them actively to see the way forward for tier 2 account holders. But for now, what we've rolled out and what's on the market is if you have funds in your tier 3, and if you don't have funds in your tier 3, but you have money seated in your account, you like to access it, we'll encourage you put it in the individual investment or individual product, that's the savings booster. Then based on it, you can access the pension-backed mortgage. Sure. So basically now, as it stands, it is for tier 3 contributors and those who have funds in the savings booster. You can add both. That is, if you have funds both in your savings booster and your tier 3, you can consolidate it to help increase your affordability for the mortgage you are looking at for. But all will also boil down to how much your month-on-month repayment looks like. That is the salary you take month-on-month.
All right, thank you, AB. So I'll ask my last round of questions, and then we can take some concluding remarks from our panelists, and then bring today's webinar to a close. A lot of questions have come in, and I want to extend apologies. We can't address all of the questions in the time that we have for the webinar. But rest assured, you will receive the answers as you go along. We have people on standby who will respond to those questions for you. So please do not be perturbed at all. So so this is a question coming from somebody. You didn't indicate your name, but you're asking, what would you advise for a retiree who just received their pension lump sum? What would be your advice for a retiree who just received their pension? So AB, if you can help with that.
Okay, so if you're on retirement and you receive your lump sum, I will again direct you to our office. Come and let's have a conversation. There are products you can take advantages of. There are annuities on the market you can purchase, which will give you month-on-month payment. If you come to Petra, I just ask that you're looking for AB or you're looking for Hansen on this conversation, and we will help you make an informed decision. Again, since you're on retirement, I will also encourage that you get a good health insurance cover to cater for your medical bills in this time of your age. Someone said that age in retirement is like buying an old car. Buying an old car would mean that always you need to go to the mechanic shop to address one or two things on the car. Same applies to working hard for Mother Ghana and you hitting your retirement age. So if you're on retirement, I will encourage that you get a good health insurance, which is out there. You come to our office to have a conversation. We can recommend some for you, and then can take advantage of annuity, a percentage of your money purchased into annuity products, which will give you month-on-month salary payment. And then we can invest the rest also into asset classes that we believe will give you good returns in short and medium terms. In that way, you'll be on retirement, but you're assured of month-on-month salary that will be coming from the annuities. Your health is covered because you have a good health insurance package that will cater for your health. And then periodically, the investment that you've done with part of the funds will also, you can also redeem from the returns of it to make your life more comfortable. So if this is your situation, unfortunately, the person did not mention his name, come to our office, we can mention I'm looking for AB or I'm looking for Hansen. We'll sit you down to have a nice conversation with you, how you can enjoy your retirement life and how you can manage the funds that you've received for a longer period. Thank you, Solo.
Okay, thank you. Somebody is also asking, and I think in this one I can answer it myself, whether individuals can invest in tier 3 and savings booster account. Yes, you can, as an individual, invest in the savings booster account. The tier 3 is more occupational oriented. That is for the employers. And so employers sign on to the Tier 3 scheme. However, as an individual, you can sign on to the Saving Booster account, which also invests in the Tier 3. So you enjoy the same benefits as well. So I hope that helps you, the one asking the question. And I'll direct this question to you. I think this will be the last question, and then we can take some closing remarks. The person is putting it quite bluntly. Is there any investment that is returning higher than the current inflation rate? Is there anything like that on the market today?
Sorry, your question is there any investment that is returning higher than inflation rates?
Exactly, on the market today, yeah.
To the best of my limited knowledge, no. I've not come across locally any investment that is returning higher than inflation rate. However, let me say this, that there are times when inflation will be higher than the return you earn on your money. And this is not new to Ghana. If you just cross to Nigeria, they've had negative real return for a very long time, where inflation is higher than the rates on their government security. In fact, at a certain point in time during the pandemic, I think last year or so, there were countries that had inflation that was higher than the rates on their investment. So seeing rate inflation being higher than your investment return, even though it's not normal, it's also not exactly uncommon. It happens. So I think we should all get used to the fact that there will be times where inflation will be higher than your investment return. What that tells you is that the inflation you see is transitory, as you say. It's not something that's here to stay. We are in an unusual time, so you could have that playing out. So just because ordinarily you'll be seeking returns that is higher than inflation, it doesn't mean that in an abnormal and unusual times like what you're having in Ghana, you should still be chasing after a return that will be higher than 53. If you don't take time, you get your body completely cut into pieces and chopped. You will be chasing return that's not available. And so we should be conscious of that yes, there will be times when my investment return will be lower than inflation. Those times are unusual, and this will not be the last time we'll go through such a cycle, because like you say, it's life, it goes up and down. So we should learn and also get used to it, and including myself, because I also have money invested in the same spaces as well. Because if you don't take time, look, inflation is 53, I need to go and chase after return, and then you get your fingers burned. Just to illustrate with an example, there was someone who took his money from a Tier 3 fund. At that time, he went to buy bonds herself, and he was doing all of this because currency depreciation was kicking in. If you remember, between September and October, currency was depreciating significantly. So when he took his money, and he took his money mainly because at that time, pension funds were earning around 22, 23, and inflation was around 50 thereabouts. So he went to buy the bonds themselves. He bought the bond probably around 54 thereabouts. However, the bonds were not accumulating returns faster than the rate at which the currency was depreciating. So what did she do? She sold the bond to then move to buy US dollars. So she had moved from pension funds to buy individual bonds, and then eventually she ended up USD. Unfortunately for her, just when she bought the dollars at 15, a few days after, the dollar became 8 cedis. So sometimes we adopt the behavior we have, whereby people jump from one prophet to another, one church after another. We do the same thing with our money. By the time we end up, we bent our entire money. So let's be very cautious in what we decide to do. The most important thing, where are you going? Are you going to Amasama? Are you going to Kwewu? Are you going to Nkoko? Determine that and speak to an advisor to help you get to your destination safely. Because if you follow the news, you may get yourself bent up. Thank you.
Thank you, Ike. Maybe you want to into something on this?
Yeah, just to add to the example Ike cited, someone also came here, withdrew from his Tier 3. The amount over 200,000 Ghana cedis that he's going to buy dollars. The next few days, he came back and was, sweating all over. The dollars he bought, they were all fake dollars. So even there are breaks in some of these things we even tend to take by redeeming from our tier 3 to go and buy dollar, to go and place it here, to go and place it there. See, if you don't know the market, let's have a conversation first. Talk to someone before you take the decision. You bought dollars of 200. You've like he disinvest everything in the tier 3 to go and buy dollars. And it turned out that all the dollar he received, they were all fake dollars. And he bought it from Abochi. Where they go see Abochi for? Okay, you've lost your investment, you've lost your money. Thank you.
That's a very unfortunate story, and we don't wish this on any of you. So again, the advice is speak to somebody. Don't make some of these critical financial decisions on your own if you do not have the expertise. Okay. Just to reiterate, the link again is in the chat. Please, you can access it and share some information with us. We are taking feedback on these webinars that we've been having. If you also want to speak to another financial advisor to help you navigate these times, you can also leave your details via that same link and you'll be contacted. Again, people who want to take access of or access the mortgages and the loan product that we spoke of, again, the link has been shared. You can access that over there as well. So let's do what is needful, and then we'll all be happy for it. So I'll take closing remarks from our panelists. What would be your last words to our audience in these challenging times? And then we'll take Aries for the last one.
Okay, thank you so much, and thanks, Abraham. Just to keep it very short, like you said, I'll just make it 3 points. Number one, we are in a very, very tough time, and it probably may take us 3 to 5 years to recover. Number two, you need to determine the direction of travel you want to take. Number three, get closer to your financial advisor and stick to the plan once you design the plan. Thank you very much.
Very succinct. Thank you very much, Isaac. Abraham, what will be your concluding thoughts?
I think my son has stolen all my words. But don't let the market dictate to you. Don't just react to the market and take some hasty decision. Before you take any decision, as we are all preaching on this call, talk to someone, talk to an advisor. Let's address the situation. Then let's get to the right destination together. Thank you very much, Solomon.
All right. Thank you all. Thank you so much, Isaac, for making the time to join us today on the webinar. Thank you so much, Abraham. And a very big thank you to all the supporting production team that have put this together. And of course, to you, our attendees and audience members who have joined us via the webinar, via YouTube, via Facebook. We appreciate your time, and we hope that this has been an engaging and informative session for you. Until we meet next time, as we mentioned earlier, this is an ongoing thing that we are doing to help bring some form of sanity to the minds of our customers, the general public, about what to do in these times. So this is not the last. We'll come again your way. But until that time, I hope that you all keep safe, and we'll meet you soon. Enjoy the rest of your day. Until next time. See you all.
Thank you.
Bye for now.